Hey, what is up, everybody? This is your boy AJTRIP, and welcome to the game according to me. This is my podcast where I go on about what's going on in the world of sports, and when we go down this in this year in this time frame, we talk about what's football, NCAA, and pro football. Every now and then we'll sneak in something else. Like right now, we got the Major League Baseball playoffs going on. We'll check in with them. And today, of all days, is actually the opening day of the NBA. So we're gonna do our previews for the NBA. I'll give you my winners for Coach of the Year and all of those things, and I'll also give you like my Western and Eastern Conference Finals participants and give you the NBA Finals and everything like that. But quickly, before we do that, as quickly as we can, who knows, we're gonna talk about and preview the teams. I have articles here that I am reading off of from USA Today about all of the teams. We'll start with the Western Conference. So, I don't know how they do this. Maybe they just go in order. So we'll just look at this. The Dallas Mavericks was up first. Just Jason Kidd's first year. Last year they lost to the Clippers in the Western Conference first round. So what's different? Dallas returns most of the top rotation intact, with Josh Richardson being the most notable departure. Richardson was dealt to the Celtics for Moses Brown, a 7'2" center who showed promise late last season with the Thunder. The Mavericks also signed Reggie Bullock and Sterling Brown in free agency, both who bring size and shooting to the wing spots and should see significant minutes. Bullock would be in the mix to start as well. Superstar sidekick. The Mavericks are Luka Doncic's team, but they need Kristaps Porzingis to emerge as a reliable second star to truly break through as a serious title contender. Porzingis has battled injuries during two of his seasons in Dallas and has struggled at times to find his role in the offense. Staying healthy is also key for the 7'3" Porzingis, but how he fits in Jason Kidd's new system is one of the Mavericks' biggest questions for the season. Um, Says here, more support. Doncic has been brilliant in his brief playoff career, but two first-round exits have shown he would need more help to advance. Additional playmaking remains a priority after the Mavericks were unable to add a veteran point guard in all season. They could still make a move during the season. Having more options around Doncic will give the offensive flexibility and make it harder for defenses to load up and try and stop him. How good they can be with Doncic as a leading MVP candidate, question marks with several other Western Conference contenders, the Mavericks should be in the hunt for a top 4 seed. Okay, so as I read this Dallas one first one, I think um I think I'm gonna try what I'm gonna do here is just um maybe condense some of the stuff that I'm reading here. Okay, as we go on. The Denver Nuggets is next. They lost last year, of course, to the Suns in the Western Conference semifinals. What's different, star point guard Jamal Murray will likely miss most, if not all, of the regular season after tearing his left ACL in April. Beyond his absence, the Nuggets experiencing little turnover, with 9 of their top 10 playoff rotation players returning. Paul Millsap and JaVale McGee, who had 34 playoff minutes, departed in free agency, while veteran Jeff Green was brought in on a 2-year deal. The Denver did an admirable job weathering Murray's injuries late last year during the playoffs. It's a bigger challenge to do it over a longer stretch of the season. Monte Murray and Facundo Campazzo will fill in, what Coach Mike Malone relying on who is playing well at the moment. Reigning MVP Nikola Jokic is their primary playmaker, but replacing Murray's production in the backcourt will determine whether the Nuggets remain a top Western Conference contender. Murray's absence is a huge opportunity for Michael Porter Jr. to step up and prove he can be the star. Porter averaged 19 points last season on 13.4 shots a game. His offensive talent is undeniable, and he will have room to increase his scoring load. If he can keep shooting over 50% from the field and 40% from three-point range while continuing to improve his defense, Porter will be the true threat. Nuggets may take a small step back from last year's third seed, But even with Murray sidelined for an undetermined length of time, they should be in the middle of the West playoff race with a shot at a top 4 seed. The Golden State Warriors missed the playoffs for the second straight season. After missing 2 seasons with injuries, Klay Thompson is expected to be back around Christmas, one of the league's most anticipated returns. The Warriors added lottery picks Jonathan Kuminga and Moses Moody, who, of course, we all know Kendrick Perkins had a hard time saying his name. Plus, veterans Andre Iguodala is back, Otto Porter Jr., and Nemanja Bjelica to boost the bench unit. Kelly Oubre and Kent Bazemore departed. Thompson is one of the most universally loved players in the league, and his return will have fans cheering in every city. What kind of player he is after a torn ACL and a ruptured Achilles remains to be seen. His dead-eye shooting likely hasn't suffered, but Thompson has also been one of the top perimeter defenses during his career. It is unclear how long it will take him to get back to that level, if he can at all, after 2 devastating injuries in such a long absence. The Warriors were seemingly in every trade rumor during the offseason and will likely remain a target during the speculation. They want to maximize their title chances while Stephen Curry, Draymond Green, and Thompson are still in their prime. This is their 10th year, by the way. This is their 10th year playing in with each other. Those 3 guys. With no stars made available, such as Damian Lillard or Bradley Beal, the Warriors have promising young players in Kuminga, Moody, and Wiseman, and draft capital to make a blockbuster deal. Depending on how long it takes Thompson to regain his form, the Warriors should be back in the middle of the Western Conference playoff picture with a chance at a top 4 seed. Swinging a trade for a 4th star would make them title contenders once again. The Houston Rockets missed the playoffs for the first time in 9 seasons. After trading James Harden, PJ Tucker, and Victor Oladipo during the season, the Rockets went into full rebuild mode with 4 first-round picks: Jalen Green, Alfred Sengun, Usman Garuba, and Josh Christopher. They acquired Daniel Theus on a 4-year contract to supplement the young core. Kelly Olynyk and Sterling Brown left. Houston also is looking to trade John Wall. The lottery ping-pong balls in Houston's favor, and it landed in Green as the G League unite with the 2nd pick. The Rockets believed they have a future star before Green was one of the most impressive rookies at the Summer League. He has huge potential as a scoring number 2 guard and can share playmaking duties. It could just be a matter of time before he becomes the focal point of an offense in need of star power. Green is the centerpiece of a promising group of young players that includes incumbents Kevin Porter Jr., KJ Martin, Christian Wood, and Deshaun Tate. With Wall not in their future plans, the Rockets have few veterans in need of ample playing time. Second-year coach Steven Silas likely won't have much choice but to give his young core minutes and let them develop. The young Rockets will face plenty of growing pains and be back in the lottery next spring, but with development from Green, Porter, and company, they likely won't be the worst team again. The Los Angeles Clippers lost to the Suns in the Western Conference Finals. The Clippers' biggest loss came during the playoffs in June when Kawhi Leonard suffered a partially torn right ACL. He is out indefinitely and could miss the entire season in the playoffs. Los Angeles then swapped point guards Patrick Beverley and Rajon Rondo for Eric Bledsoe in a trade and signed Justice Winslow. Leonard's absence will loom over everything the Clippers do, and it's possible he could return for the playoffs next spring. But Leonard has been cautious with injuries in the past, and it is just as likely he sits out the whole year. The Derrick Rose Protocol. It was once named here in Chicago. Paul George stepped up in the playoffs after Leonard was hurt, but George hasn't had to carry a team as his only star for an entire season since he left the Pacers in 2017. Without Leonard for the postseason, there is a much lower ceiling on the championship perspectives. After reviving his career last year, Reggie Jackson was rewarded with a 2-year contract and a healthy raise. With the trade of Beverly and Rondo, Jackson appears to have the inside track to the starting point guard job, despite the addition of Bledsoe. Jackson shot 43.3% from free-point range in the regular season and meshed well with George in the starting backcourt, especially in the playoffs when he averaged 17.8 points and shot 40% from deep to help the Clippers reach the Western Conference Finals for the first time. Clippers face a tough road to a top 4 seed in the Deep West. They compete for top 6 and a guaranteed playoff spot, but they could fall in the to the playoff to the play-in tournament. The Los Angeles Lakers, they lost to the Suns in the Western Conference first round. LeBron James and Anthony Davis are back, but the Lakers overhauled the rest of their roster. Dennis Schroeder, Kyle Kuzma, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Alex Caruso, Montrezl Harrell, Marc Gasol, Markieff Morris, Wesley Matthews, Andre Drummond are out. Russell Westbrook and Wayne Ellington, Carmelo Anthony, Malik Monk, Kendrick Nunn, Kent Bazemore, Dwight Howard, Rajon Rondo, DeAndre Jordan, and Trevor Ariza are in. The Lakers is one of the biggest. The Lakers' age is one of the biggest storylines. James is 36 and entering year 19, and 8 of their 10 new players are 32 and older. With Davis's injury history, coach Frank Vogel and his staff closely monitor the Lakers' health and durability. James scoffed at the offseason talk of the Lakers being too old, but even he will appreciate having Westbrook there to help handle the ball and initiate the offense. James, Davis, and Westbrook are locks for the starting lineup. The final 2 spots are questions. The Lakers' best lineups have featured Davis at center and James at power forward to maximize spacing. Howard and Jordan can fill different roles at the center position in big lineups. Ellington, Anthony, and Monk, Nunn, and Bazemore can give the Lakers various looks for shooters on the perimeter. How good can they be? As long as James and Davis are healthy, the Lakers are title contenders. Window is perhaps smaller given its age, but the experience can be the deciding factor in many series. The Memphis Grizzlies lost to the Jazz in the Western Conference Finals. First round, excuse me. What is different? Memphis traded for Steven Adams and a swap of centers to replace Jonas Valanciunas. Beyond that, most of the Grizzlies' core rotation returns from a playoff team. As part of the Adams deal, the Grizzlies moved up to draft Stanford forward Zaire Williams. They also acquired Chris Dunn, Carson Edwards, and Jared Culver, and dealt Grayson Allen. The Grizzlies have a promising young core led by Ja Morant, a leading candidate to be a first-time All-Star, but they were ahead of schedule in winning 2 playing games to snag the 8th seed in the Western Conference. The playoff experience will be invaluable. The West is still deep, so it may not be reflected in the standings. Memphis could get better and still miss the playoffs. Will ownership and management be able to continue prioritizing long-term development, even if it doesn't include this year's postseason? Jaren Jackson returning to form would be a huge boost to the playoffs. Jackson was limited to 11 games at the end of last season after returning from meniscus surgery. He struggled to find a shot, especially from three-point range. If Jackson can get back on his upward trajectory from 2 years ago, he and Morant can regain their spot amongst the NBA's top young duos. The West will be tough, but the Grizzlies remain on track in their development and with no draft picks and little cap space, the Wolves made small changes, trading Ricky Rubio for Taurean Prince and acquiring Patrick Beverley for Jared Culver and Juancho Hernandez Gomez. I messed that name up. Let's try that again. Juancho Hernandez Gomez. The front office was upended with the surprising firing of General Manager Jerazan Rosas before training camp. What are these goddamn crazy names? Minnesota's struggle to find stability continues after the dismissal of Rosas. Thus, development will be a major goal for several young players, especially Anthony Edwards, the second-year guard whose last season runner-up for Rookie of the Year. While the Wolves are an intriguing potential trade destination for Ben Simmons, internal growth from Edwards, Towns, and Russell remains Minnesota's most viable path back to the postseason. Rubio's trade leaves Russell as the unquestioned starter at point guard. Russell must regain all-star form if he hopes to make progress toward the playoffs. He nearly missed 2 months for knee surgery, but made strides late in the year next to Towns and Edwards in his new coach, Finch's office. With a healthy knee and a full offseason to familiarize himself with the system, Russell could jumpstart Minnesota's rebuild with a bounce-back year. If things break their way and their key players make enough big of a leap, the Wolves could potentially compete for one of the last spots in the play-in tournament. However, the West is likely too deep and the Wolves are still a year or 2 away. The New Orleans Pelicans missed the playoffs for the 3rd straight season. What's different? The Pelicans have a new coach in Willie Green. At point guard, they allowed Lonzo Ball to leave and replaced him with Devontae Graham in a sign and trade. They swapped centers, acquiring Jonas Valanciunas for Steven Adams, in a deal that also sent Eric Bledsoe out. The New Orleans also acquired Thomas Sarianski and Garrett Temple in the Ball deal and drafted Trey Murphy III. Letting Ball go was not matching what it seemed like a reasonable 4-year, $80 million deal was a perplexing move, especially given how well Ball meshed with Zion Williamson and his prowess as a defender. Graham shoots the same from three-point range as Ball, 37%, and at 6'1", he's a big downgrade for defense that wasn't great. Graham's contract is affordable, 4 years, $47.3 million, but the Pelicans also gave up a first-round pick to acquire him. Green is the first-time head coach, but he will also be Williamson's third coach in 3 seasons. Williamson is the face of the franchise who made his first All-Star appearance last season. He needs to improve as a defender and add polish on offense, but should continue to dominate as a scorer. Green must figure out how to spur growth among the young players to maximize chances competing for the playoffs. The Pelicans likely have a shot at the play-in tournament. Their moves likely aren't enough to boost them up into the top 6. The Oklahoma City Thunder. They missed the playoffs for the first time in 6 years. General Manager Sam Presti remains committed to the rebuild. They slipped to the 6th in the lottery and selected Australian wing Josh Giddey while taking Trey Mann and Jermaine Robinson-Earl later. OKC also acquired a first-round pick to take on veteran center Derek Favors and traded Al Horford and Moses Brown. Perhaps Presti's biggest move was signing 23-year-old Shai Gilgeous-Alexander to a 5-year, $172 million maximum rookie extension. He was a borderline all-star last year, averaging 23.7 points on 50% shooting overall and 41% from the three-point range before his season was limited to 35 games because of plantar fasciitis tear in his right foot. Gilgeous-Alexander is recovered from the injury. And with his role clear, a major goal for this season will be determining which of their numerous young players will be key pieces around him long term. Thunder have a roster filled with promising talent, and the list of players they prove they should be a part of this rebuild is long. Luguentz Dort, Darius Bazley, Alexei Pulaleski, Theo Maledon, Giddey, Mann, and Robinson-Earl. Without veterans to impede the way, there will be an abundance of opportunities to stand out. The Thunder will be one of the worst teams in the league again this year, and that's largely by design. But they may be forced to make a move with all of their draft capital sooner than later. One of the things, by the way, I should mention is that we're back to the 82-game season this year, y'all. We're back to a normal 82-game season, so that's good. Because as I'm looking at these things, I always see it says like the next one, the Phoenix Suns, 2020, 2021 record, 51 and 21, and that's 72 games. But we are back to a full 82-game season this year, so that's something that's going to be I think that's something that's going to be good. This one says lost to the Bucks in the NBA Finals. Coach Monty Williams' third season. Not much has changed for the defending Western Conference champs as the Suns brought back most of the roster that came within 2 wins of the title in July. Phoenix added an experienced backup center in JaVale McGee and guard depth with Landry Shamet and Elfrid Payton. The notable departures were deep rotation pieces Torrey Craig and Javon Carter. Chris Paul elevated the Suns to championship contender during his first season in Phoenix. Retaining the future Hall of Famer was their top priority, and he is back on a manageable 4-year, $120 million deal. Phoenix also re-signed Verve's Cameron Payne and Frank Kaminsky. With 9 of the top 10 players returning from the playoff rotation, the Suns are banking on continuity to help them remain in the title contention after last year's surprise second seed and finals trip. It's also easy to forget the key players are still quite young. Devin Booker is a 2-time All-Star and one of the league's best scoring guards at 24. Center DeAndre Ayton, 23, and wing Mikal Bridges, 25, among the best young players at their positions, and all have areas to improve, as do reserves Cameron Johnson, Jalen Smith, and Shemet. If the group takes another leap forward, the Suns could challenge for the top spot in the West. The Suns won't catch anybody by surprise this year, but they will be sure to be one of the top teams in the West again. There's enough uncertainty surrounding the Western Conference contenders that the number one seed isn't out of the question. The Portland Trail Blazers lost to the Nuggets in the first round. First year coach is Chauncey Billups. The offseason was marked by the moves the Blazers didn't make. Portland kept star guards Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum for now and made several changes around them. Chauncey Billups replaced Terry Stotts as coach. Carmelo Anthony, Enes Kanter, Derrick Jones, and Zach Collins left via free agency or trade. The Blazers traded for Larry Nance Jr., signed Tony Snell, Corey Zeller, Dennis Smith Jr., Ben McLemore, Marquise Chris, and drafted Greg Brown III. Lillard spent several weeks denying reports he wants out right now. However, the six-time All-Star didn't rule out the possibility of asking for a trade. With Norman Paul re-signed on a 5-year contract and McCollum and Yusuf Nurkic healthy after missing significant time, the Blazers are hoping continually improved health and a coaching change are enough to vault back into the top of the Western Conference playoff race and keep Lillard content. Acquiring Nance salvaged an underwhelming offseason that could leave the Blazers with a thin bench. Nance has developed into a versatile, top-tier defender and solid shooter who could potentially be a starter. However, the Blazers have yet to see significant improvement from Anthony Simmons and Nasir Little, and none of the offseason signings are that inspiring. The Blazers might have the highest variance of any West contender, though anywhere from a top 4 seed to the play-in tournament is possible. The Sacramento Kings missed the playoffs for the 15th straight season, tied for the longest drought in NBA history, with the Los Angeles Clippers, who missed from 1977 to 1991. What's the difference? Hello? After a major deal with the Lakers for Buddy Hield fell through, the Kings pivoted to smaller changes. They brought in Alex Len and Tristan Thompson to boost their center rotation behind resigned Richaun Holmes. Sacramento used the ninth pick to take Davion Mitchell, who was co-MVP of the Summer League. The only notable departures were Hassan Whiteside and Delon Wright. Hield has been unhappy at various points during his 5 years in Sacramento, and things are tenuous again after he was nearly traded. The Kings has a logjam in the backcourt with Hield, incumbent point guard De'Aaron Fox, Tyrese Halliburton, who is impressed as a rookie, and Mitchell, who should be a defensive stalwart from day one. With Sacramento a potential destination for Ben Simmons, Hield could finally be dealt as a centerpiece of a trade with the Sixers. With or without Hield, though, the Kings should be able to count on consistent production in the backcourt. While Holmes has solidified the center spot, the rest of the front court is a bigger question. Marvin Bagley III has battled injuries in his 3 seasons and has yet to realize the potential that made him the number 2 pick in 2018. If Bagley doesn't begin to show pronounced growth, the Kings may be forced to move on. The Kings face a tough road and to snap a 15-year playoff drought. That's tied for the longest in NBA history. They would have to break the drought as one of the last playing teams because 9th or 10th in the Western Conference is likely their ceiling. The San Antonio Spurs missed the playoffs for the 2nd straight season. It's a new day with an exodus of veterans leaving the Spurs with just 2 players 30 or older. DeMar DeRozan was dealt in a sign and trade. Rudy Gay, Patty Mills, Trey Lyles, and Gorgui Dieng left in free agency. LaMarcus Aldridge agreed to a buyout in March. The Spurs acquired Thaddeus Young and Al-Farouq Aminu in the DeRozan deal. Brought in Doug McDermott and Brent Forbes, took a flyer on often injured Zach Collins, and drafted 18-year-old guard Josh Primo. With the old guard out, the Spurs are as young as they've been in recent memory. Primo adds depth to a guard-wing rotation that includes Dejounte Murray, Keldon Johnson, Lonnie Walker IV, Devin Vassell, and Trey Jones. San Antonio did a solid job of supplementing the young core with experienced front court versatility, Young and Aminu, shooting McDermott and Forbes. The main goal should be identifying and developing rebuild centerpieces. Primo was the youngest player taken in the draft and won't turn 19 until December. He remains very raw, but the Spurs could afford to take a swing on a high upside player. By drafting Primo, though, the Spurs have signaled they are content building another long-term contender. They nearly returned to the playoffs last year, but lost in the play-in tournament. The 9th or 10th seed is likely the ceiling. But after a 22-year playoff run, San Antonio could be facing a third straight season of missing the postseason. The Utah Jazz lost to the Clippers in the Western Conference semifinals. Little has changed for last year's best regular season team. With much of the top rotation returning, the favors was traded in a cost-cutting move. Georges Niang left in free agency, but the Jazz has found solid, affordable replacements in Rudy Gay, Eric Pascal, and Hassan Whiteside. Utah's top offseason priority was re-signing Mike Conley, and the sides quickly dealt on a 3-year, $72.5 million deal. With Conley back, the Jazz will enter the same starting lineup for a third straight season. Top reserves Jordan Clarkson and Joe Ingles are back, making the Jazz one of the most stable teams in the league. They are banking on that experience and continuity being huge assets among many other Western Conference contenders, with more roster uncertainty. The Jazz have the team to contend for a championship. Now it's just a matter of getting over the setbacks of the past two playoffs to take the next step. Donovan Mitchell is a postseason superstar who elevates his game in clutch moments. He and Conley were hampered by injuries during the playoffs last season. Rudy Gobert is still one of the best defenders in the league, and his postseason shortcomings have become overstating. But Gay and Pascal should give the Jazz a bit more lineup versatility in an effort to advance in the second round. A small step back is possible just because it's the only way for Utah to go. But the Jazz figure to be one of the top teams in the West again, with as good of a chance as anyone to claim the number 1 seed. And that is it for the Western Conference. I don't know. Should I give my Western Conference Finals now, or should I? Maybe I will. Maybe I'll go ahead and I'll give my Western Conference Finals now, and then I'll come back later and do that. I'll give my Eastern Conference Finals over after I do the East one. I think I'll do that. So. Yeah, I see this as unfortunately, I think this is this is the Lakers again. They just they go ahead and they just keep adding, and it's becoming a real sickness. It really is. It really is. It's becoming a real sickness. I hate this. There's one reason why I just, I cannot stand LeBron James, and I root for him to lose each and every time. Unfortunately, I do think that with adding a Westbrook and everything like that, if they stay healthy, if all three stay healthy, there's a good possibility that they'll be back in the finals again. So my Western Conference Finals, the Lakers over the Suns, winning 4-3. They'll beat the Phoenix Suns 4-3. They'll go down to Game 7. Once again, it's going in alphabetical order. So, of course, we start with the Atlanta Hawks. They lost to the Bucks in the Eastern Conference Finals. As far as the roster is concerned, not much is different. Every major contributor last season will be back in the fold, and Dylan Wright, who's acquired from the Sacramento Kings, could provide a spark for backup Trae Young. To backup Trae Young, excuse me. The luxury here that the Hawks can take their time with rookie Jalen Johnson, but if you can get them anything, it just makes them an already deep team that is much more dangerous. Any conversation about the Hawks' success starts and ends with Young, who signed a 5-year extension worth $207 million and averaged 28.8 points and 9.6 in a playoff run. His deficiencies on defense haven't slowed his superstar climb. With Kevin Huerter, DeAndre Hunter, Cam Reddish, plus Kent Capella back to control the boards and the paint, Atlanta should be at the very least in prime position to earn home court in the first round. Teams would be wise not to foul the Hawks because of their proficient ability, led by Young, to get to the free throw line. With new rules in place to limit non-basketball moves during fouls, Atlanta's top 10 in free throws attempts and percentage could be in jeopardy. The roadblocks in their way are namely the Bucks, the Nets, and the Sixers. There's belief that they can make noise in the Eastern Conference now that Nick McMillan is secured a long-term deal. Locking up versatile forward John Collins, instant bucket Lou Williams, and Young have become league-wide pests, as the Hawks' future does look bright. The Boston Celtics lost to the Nets in the first round of the Eastern Conference. There will be a new man on the bench as ex-coach Brad Stevens moved to the front office, taking over basketball operations. Now tasked with the Celtics reset is Ime Udoka, not the first black coach in Boston history, as once said by Jay Williams, a longtime NBA assistant. He set the tone early during the summer with a message for his stars. They know I'm going to be on their ass. They want to be pushed. Boston wasn't going to sit back and watch everyone else in the conference get better. It started off by shipping Kemba Walker, a first-round pick and a future second-round pick, in a trade for Al Horford, bringing in guard Josh Richardson from the Dallas Mavericks. Shrewd moves to create cap flexibility, extending Marcus Smart and center forward Robert Williams, and signing center Enes Kanter. Dennis Schroeder to one-year deals to put the Celtics in position to make moves at the trading deadline to acquire another impact player. All eyes will once again be on 23-year-old Jason Taylor, who last season set career highs in points, assists, and rebounds, and is already one of the top 10, top 15 players in the game. With a silky smooth game, he continues to be a part of the team's defensive effort that is likely to improve. All NBA honors could be coming for the next decade. Tatum alone makes them a threat in the East, but before last season's first-round exit, Boston had appeared in 3 of the last 4 Eastern Conference Finals. Even with a top-heavy East, 50 or more wins is more than enough to be in the mix come later April. The Brooklyn Nets lost to the Bucks in the Eastern Conference Finals, semifinals. The Nets made most of their moves via the draft, selecting 5 players, including Cameron Thomas, who was named Summer League MVP. Brooklyn could have its big 3 of Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and James Harden back, but it depends on if Irving gets vaccinated and rejoins the team. If he does, and if all 3 remain healthy, watch out. Brooklyn could be as efficient and deadly on offense as we have seen in NBA history. While losing Spencer Dinwiddie and Jeff Green, the Nets should have no shortage of leadership and scoring off the bench. They acquired defensive mind Javon Carter and Patty Mills, who increased his value by lighting up opponents in the Tokyo Olympics for Team Australia. A rejuvenated Blake Griffin and Bruce Brown further add scoring punch for a second unit that could be one of the league's best. Health is the name of the game, as was evident in the playoffs. When the team was hit with injuries, whether different strategies and philosophy or load management is the answer, hopefully that's not the answer. No, it's not. Hopefully that's definitely not the answer. The Nets have zero room for error when it comes to keeping their stars on the floor. Perhaps Harden knows better than most when he said this to SportsIllustrated.com early in the summer. At full strength, nobody can beat us. I'm just going to leave it at that. No sugarcoating it. If the Nets don't get at least to the NBA Finals, as long as Durant, Harden, and Irving are healthy, it would be a disappointment of monumental proportions. If pundits are concerned about the only perceived weakness which is defense, that's fine. Brooklyn will outscore teams and should coast to the final. Let me say this. Let me add this on too, because they mentioned talk about Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving is an idiot. Point blank. Period. End of discussion. He thinks the world is flat. He says other than he keeps wanting to, he doesn't want to play. Stephen A. was right. Stephen A. talked about it on TV. He was right. This is a guy who does anything to not play basketball. He does anything not to play basketball. He says he loves the game so much. If you love the game so much, stop taking time off and play basketball. Get your ass vaccinated. You're an idiot. Kyrie Irving, you're a fucking idiot. Next, next is the Charlotte Hornets. They missed the playoffs for the 5th straight season. The Hornets are going to have to replace Malik Monk and Devontae Graham, who combined to score 27 points per game. They can do this with the additions of Kelly Oubre and the continued maturation of rookie LaMelo Ball. Ish Smith, Wes Uwindu, and Mason Plumlee have been added to provide depth, and drafting UConn guard James Bouknight and Texas forward Kai Jones could provide a spark off the bench. Signing Terry Rozier to a 4-year, $97 million extension is a big offseason move. The guard with Miles Bridges, Gordon Hayward, and Rozier will do most of the heavy lifting when it comes to putting the ball in the basket. The question is, with Michael Jordan's team, would that be enough to make noise, or is it headed for an early summer? The glaring weakness is inside, whether it's finding a center who can score, defend, and rebound. If the Hornets can stop anyone from scoring at will in the paint, which they didn't do at all last year. This is the fringe playoff team. Mason Plumlee, Jones, and Vernon Carey are tasked with the job of preventing teams from creating their own virtual layup line. How good can they be? Charlotte is easily warmed its way into a playoff seed and break a 5-year postseason drought. If they manage to do that and win the playoff tournament, getting out of the first round will be a tough task. Ball is trending towards superstardom, but he needs a teammate to break through and play at an all-star level. The Chicago Bulls missed the playoffs for the 4th straight season. The new-look Bulls will have one of the most drastic roster turnovers when the season tips off, sending Lauri Markkanen to Cleveland in a 3-team deal, acquiring Lonzo Ball and DeMar DeRozan to pair with Zach LaVine and Nikola Vucevic gives Chicago instant credibility. Getting Illinois product Ayo Dosunmu in the draft and adding Alex Caruso, Derrick Jones Jr., and Tony Bradley punctuated the Bulls' busy summer. While the NBA is not college football, some proclamation annually that certain teams are back to competing for championships. Chicago need not celebrate its productive summer thinking that that will be enough. Yes, the Bulls will be better, and the Bulls around the team will get fans more engaged. Chicago hasn't won this division in 10 years, hasn't mentioned being title contenders since the heyday of Derrick Rose. Living up to the icon of Jordan is always the standard for this franchise. What it lacks in championship mettle will be replaced by an exciting team with an offense capable of running teams out of the gym. The many moves in the offseason Chicago made, at least on paper, appear to be significant headway in the upper echelon of the East. Head coach Billy Donovan has a dilemma ahead of doling out minutes to his young team, but the Bulls should be fighting for a first-round home court advantage all season long. Cleveland Cavaliers missed the playoffs for the 3rd straight season. Disgruntled forward Lauri Markkanen found a new home along with a 4-year, $67 million deal. He will be paired with rookie Evan Mobley and Jared Allen, who has secured his own $100 million deal. Trading away Larry Nance Jr. will hurt, but acquiring a floor general in Ricky Rubio makes up for it. Rubio has averaged 11 points, 7.6 assists, and 1.8 steals over his 10-year NBA career. Big man Kevin Love has only played 103 games over the last 3 years. Keeping him on the floor is paramount, especially since he's owed $60 million on his contract. While Love can provide leadership and spot scoring 18 points a game over his 13-year career, relying on him as a consistent presence isn't likely. A trade during the season isn't the craziest idea since he isn't interested in a buyout. Having 2 guards who can score and our threats from the 3-point line could play dividends against teams that have trouble with perimeter defending. Darius Garland, 17.4 points, 6.4 assists, and 2.4 rebounds, and Colin Sexton, 24.3 points, 4.4 assists, and 3.1 rebounds, gives Cleveland legitimate hope for future success for a franchise that's sorely in need for good news. Cleveland can still make moves as it has mid-level exceptions to fill out the roster. The Cavs have won 27% of their games since LeBron James went west in 2018. So winning 30 games would be considered more than a success. A play-in tournament berth would really give the team something on which to build. Detroit Pistons missed playoffs for 3rd straight season. Drafting Cade Cunningham was a no-brainer. Along with intriguing second-round pick Luka Garza, The 6'10" center who averaged 23.9 points and 9.8 rebounds last year at Iowa, and forward Isaiah Livers. All three are potential stars who need to develop. Grabbing veteran forward center Kelly Olynyk was a good move, and re-signing veteran Corey Joseph gives flexibility to a guard who could use their scoring points. The Pistons have had the worst record in the Eastern Conference, so there is nowhere to look up. Casey, who led the Raptors to the playoffs 5 years in a row before coming to Detroit, is certainly capable of getting this roster to compete, especially on the defensive end. The Raptors were a surprising 10th in fewest points allowed and 16th in defensive rating in 2021. Their problem was scoring, which should be much better with Cade Cunningham and Jeremy Grant. Speaking of scoring, the Pistons' problems last season not only came from lack of talent, but their talent's inability to hit nylon. Ranking in the bottom third of the league in scoring, effective field goal percentage, and turnover percentage is a recipe for disaster in high school basketball, let alone the NBA. Anything other than last in the conference would cause for celebration, but hope springs eternal for a team that hasn't had any the last few years. With a roster that is one of the youngest, hovering around the bottom of the tough Central will be expected. The Indiana Pacers missed playoffs for the first time in 6 years. Rick Carlisle is back in the Hoosier State for a second time after Nate Borchin was jettisoned after 1 year. Carlisle inherits a roster that underachieved, mostly due to injuries, and missed the playoffs for the first time in 6 seasons. There wasn't much change in player movement, with Torrey Craig signing a 2-year free agent contract as the only noteworthy deal. Perhaps the truest cliche in sports is the best ability is availability. The players had a virtual triage unit last year, with T.J. Warren missing most of the season with a foot ailment, along with Karis LeVert with kidney issues, Jeremy Lamb with an ACL, and Miles Turner with an ankle, missing a significant time. Even Domantas Sabonis and Malcolm Brogdon racked up multiple do-not plays because of injuries. It's talented duo to provides the front court stability most teams crave, but Carlisle says he has had he feels he can stagger their minutes to get the most efficiency out of both. Playing these two together has seldom worked, but the versatility at Indiana's disposal cannot be ignored. How the Pacers use their team's versatility can be the biggest storyline to follow in gauging the team's success. There's no doubt a playoff team with the right mix of toughness, timely shooting, and defense. Carlisle will get the best out of his players, keeping them in most games. A top 3 seed is the ceiling for his team, and a spot in the Eastern Conference Finals is not that far away if everything comes together. Another disappointing season could lead to a roster dump. The Miami Heat. Miami gave 35-year-old Kyle Lowry a 3-year, $85 million deal. He is an instant upgrade from anything they had last season. P.J. Tucker and Markieff Morris, 10-year veterans with championship experience, joins a roster that has already prided itself on being mentally tougher and physical and stronger than everybody else. The trio should fit nicely behind Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo. Believe it or not, head coach Eric Spoelstra is in his 14th season with his current team. He's the second in the league next to Greg Popovich. The Heat have an improved team. Look for the Southeast Division crucial playoff seeding to come down to the Heat and Hawks for years to come. Signing often injured Victor Oladipo might seem as a risk, but he did turn down a $45 million extension offer from the Houston Rockets to sign a 1-year minimum deal to stay with Miami. Oladipo, who is already on his 5th NBA team entering his 9th season, won't start the season after having knee surgery in May, but when he gets back, it adds another layer to an already stacked team. Miami is one of those teams that can be confusing. The Heat have talent and coaching to make another run to the finals, just as they did in the Orlando bubble. Or they can make an early exit like their first-round exit to the Bucks last season. The right mix of veterans' youth should propel the Heat as a tough out in the playoffs. The Milwaukee Bucks won the NBA championship. What's different? The swagger of winning an NBA title can only do wonders for Milwaukee and its opponents. The Bucks now know they are going to be the best. They're going to get the best from opponents, especially those who thought the pandemic-shortened season caused many of the league's superstars to go down with injuries. The loss of Fort P.J. Tucker to Miami hurts, but the return of Dante DiVincenzo adds to a talented roster. Milwaukee hit 39 of his three-pointers during the regular season and plummeted to 32% during his title run. That disparity could be offset because of the dominance of Giannis Antetokounmpo and teams' inability to stop him or the pace of the Bucks. Despite a bevy of players who can hit outside shots, the Bucks will have to be more versatile if they have any chance to repeat. The question is, will Antetokounmpo continue to improve on his game? He dominates the paint, rebounds, and defends without having a consistent, reliable jump shot as a bailout. Another MVP-type season is on the horizon, whether that jumper comes to fruition or not. He is that good. Well, Milwaukee's defending champion and upgraded his roster, so anything less than an appearance back in the sport's biggest stage would be looked at as a failure. In fact, the Bucks' title last season might be questioned. It would be a battle of Brooklyn, with Brooklyn all season long for the number one seed. The Nets certainly remember how the Bucks knocked off them at home in Game 7 of the Eastern Conference semifinals. The New York Knicks lost to the Hawks in the Eastern Conference first round. The signing of local hero Kemba Walker, with no doubt, has excited the fan base, but Walker has been injury prone, and the inability to land an NBA All-Star caliber has been the franchise undoing for years. Guard forward Evan Fournier adds another scorer with the ability to get 20 points a night, and veteran Derrick Rose will continue to provide a spark and leadership off the bench. Getting exposed for their offensive roles during the playoffs, the Knicks upgraded with Fournier and Walker signings. The league's best defense in terms of points allowed is anchored by Mitchell Robinson and Nerlens Noel, but they add nothing on the offensive end. Most improved player Julius Randle, 24 points, 10 rebounds per game, blossomed into a reliable offensive threat, but he's also led the league in minutes played. Tom Thibodeau has a reputation for letting his stars log every minute, but easing some pressure off of Randle could be beneficial since he no longer has to worry about scoring every time down the court. The Knicks reached the playoffs for the first time since 2013. Then they ran into the red-hot Hawks, who reached the Eastern Conference Finals. Realistic expectations are the key. Yes, New York will be good defensively, and yes, the Knicks can compete for a top 4 spot in the East. Consistent play from the offense and staying healthy is paramount to even sniff breaking a 5-decade championship drought. The Orlando Magic missed the playoffs. Rebuilding with top draft pick Jalen Suggs and pairing him with Markelle Fultz and forward Jonathan Isaac, who are making their way back from knee injuries, isn't a bad idea. Jonathan Isaac is also not vaccinated. He's also a moron. Added veteran center Robin Lopez via free agency still isn't enough to keep the Magic from the Eastern cellar. New coach Jamal Mosley, an assistant coach for 3 NBA teams, certainly has his hands full. But with potential and ample cap space, the team's fortunes could change. Orlando's top 3 scorers are gone from a team that was last in scoring average and offensive rating and dead last in effective field goal percentage. The beneficiaries should be guards Terrence Ross and Gary Harris, both are prime targets to be traded though, and Cole Anthony, who should improve on his second year. Scoring over 100 points will be a nightly struggle. Respect from the league usually comes from how many times they get the team in front of the most eyeballs. The Magic will make 4 appearances on national TV, all on NBA TV. Vegas isn't a fan of Orlando either, as the Magic constantly ends up at the bottom of odds makers' boards. Now, how good can they be? Orlando will struggle to find consistent scoring, which will land them in the bottom of the standings With most rebuilds, smart drafting, and some luck needed to happen. But as long as the front office isn't pushing for a win-now scenario, taking their time to make sure it is set up for the future is the right move forward. The 76ers lost to the Hawks in the Eastern Conference semifinals. Nothing is going to change for Philadelphia until it does something with Ben Simmons. While the offseason moves did nothing to inch the 76ers closer to the Nets or the Bucks, locking up Joel Embiid to a 4-year, $196 million max deal shows the franchise will move forward with or without Simmons. Now the task is to find another All-Star caliber player to team up with the league's dominant big man. The 76ers would be wise to deal Simmons with sooner rather than later, unless they really believe paying someone who won't shoot and is a liability down the stretch. $177 million over the next 5 years is wise business. But the sudden undoing of Simmons is not only baffling but also surprising. A change of scenery might do him some good, but if he doesn't evolve his game, he will be the next team's issue to deal with. Danny Green and Furkan Korkmaz are back in the mix, adding longtime Embiid nemesis Andre Drummond fortifies an already sturdy front court. Championship windows can change from one instant to the next, and Phillies could slam shut if the right moves are not made to accommodate Embiid. The Sixers are as talented as any team and have a championship-winning coach in Doc Rivers. That coach has also led multiple playoff leads slip away in stunning fashion, leading to questions about strategy and overall competence. Having Embiid healthy and playing at an MVP level gets the Sixers closer to hoisting the trophy, but not by much. The Toronto Raptors missed the playoffs for the first time in 8 seasons. The Raptors will look a lot different without stalwart Kyle Lowry, who was shipped to Miami for an inspiring deal in Goran Dragic and Precious Achiuwa. Masai Ujiri, who signed a new deal to become the team's vice chairman and president, continues to impress, making a shrewd deal in re-signing Gary Trent, giving the Raptors more firepower. After playing their entire 2021 season home slate in Tampa, Florida, Toronto returns home to Scotiabank Arena on October 20th to face the Wizards. The team has no plans to play elsewhere, but that could quickly change depending on if the Delta variant of COVID-19 gets out of hand again. The Raptors have not played in Toronto since February 2020. That season, they were a 53-19 team. While Pascal Siakam, Fred VanVleet, and OG Anunoby will take up most of the scoring bulk, improved shooting and rebounding needs to be a focus. Toronto let teams feast on offensive boards, leading to second chances and sloppy defensive resets. It might be a problem moving forward, but because the Raptors don't have a player listed over 6'9", and that's insane. How would you not have players over 6'9"? That is ridiculous. I hate the small ball. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. You need some big guys. You need big guys because everybody else has big guys. What I hate even more is not only like it's like when teams like not only when they go small, but then they go real small and they put someone that's 6'5", 6'6" at center position. I'm like, we're not a fucking center. Stop. Okay, so let's see. Okay, let's finish this off. Toronto is unable to snag another superstar during this free agent thin period. But if the Raptors slip back to the pack and come time for the still unannounced trading deadline, the roster could look entirely different in a hurry. As currently constituted, Toronto is more than good enough to make a playoff appearance, but advancing deep is another story. And finally, the Washington Wizards for the Eastern Conference. Lost to the Sixers in the Eastern Conference first round. Spencer Dinwiddie should be fully healthy after suffering a partially torn ACL and was able to secure a 3-year, $62 million contract and was part of the trade that sent Russell Westbrook to the Lakers. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Kyle Kuzma, and Montrezl Harrell were also a part of the deal. Wes Unseld Jr. was tapped to be the new coach as a monumental task. No Wizards coach has finished above 500 in his tenure in the past 2 decades. I guess that means no first season Wizards coach, right? Because I'm sure last year being in the playoffs they finished over 500. Unseld has spent the past 6 seasons with the Nuggets, rising to associate head coach. Bradley Beal's status will continue to be talked about until he either signs a long-term deal with the Wizards or is traded. He will start his 2-year, $72 million contract extension this season, and there is no reason to believe that teams looking to upgrade their shooting will have their sights set on the 28-year-old. However, he's also unvaccinated, so he's also a moron. Before taking any step in the progress of a team, job one is to stop the opponent. Washington didn't come close to doing that last season, giving up a league-high 119 points per game, and still made the playoffs, which is either an indictment on the competition or just pure luck. Unseld schemes should make them an overall better defensive team. The Wizards did a nice job getting several assets in the Westbrook trade, and could challenge for a playoff spot in the top-heavy conference. But if rumblings about Bill's status continue to linger throughout the season, this team could easily contend for being one of the NBA's worst teams. So, now for my Eastern Conference Finals. Again, I think this is a very easy one. With or without Kyrie Irving, I think the Nets are good enough and good enough to win. To win. So I'm taking the Nets over the Sixers in a 4-1 victory. And I'm saying 4-1 just because they may not have Kyrie, but if Kyrie would finally smarten up and get the vaccine, these Nets should be incredible. And now, with that being said, I have now the Lakers and the Nets in the NBA Finals. So who's gonna win that again? I'm having the Nets beat the Lakers 4-2. Kevin Durant being the Finals MVP. And once again, I would say this: if Kyrie Irving smartens up, gets his shit together, I think there's no doubt that the Nets could probably sweep the Lakers 4-zip in the finals. So, yeah, I'm gonna say it's the Nets and the Lakers in the NBA Finals, with the Nets winning. The Nets are your NBA champions of the 2021-2022 season. And let's end on giving the awards out. The most valuable player would be Kevin Durant. The Rookie of the Year, Jalen Green of the Houston Rockets. Defensive Player of the Year, once again, Rudy Gobert from the Utah Jazz. I think it's his award until someone else decides to take it from him. The Sixth Man of the Year, I'm going with Cameron Johnson of the Phoenix Suns. The Most Improved Player of the Year, I'm going to say Tyler Hero of the Heat. I think he could jump up and score 20 points a game, become a starter for that team. The Coach of the Year, I'm going to say Steve Nash of the Nets. I expect Brooklyn to compete. Again, in the thing I read, they talked about, you know, load management and everything like that. I don't think so. There's no need for that. No need for load management. That these guys play 82 games. There's nothing wrong with that. And I think this is a team with or without Kyrie Irving that could get close to 65, 66 wins in the season. A quick look at the Major League Baseball playoffs. We see the Atlanta Braves have a 2-0 lead over the Los Angeles Dodgers, second year in a row. Game 3 is today. Game 4 of the American League Championship Series, with Boston leading 2-1, also happens today in Boston. So we'll see what goes there. I think the interesting thing is, can the Dodgers do it 2 years in a row? Can they come back from the 2-0 deficit 2 years in a row? We'll have to wait and see And also, I think one of the things is stupid. They did. They started. What's his face? And then they brought in their 20 game winner to back up. I hate analytics. I hate it. I hate it. I hate analytics. It's stupid. To college football, biggest thing happened this past Saturday. Number two Iowa upset by Purdue, 24-7. That's an unreal deal. There's just no reason for Iowa to lose at home to Purdue like that. And that's why they dropped from 2 to 11. So it's incredible. Looking at the other scores, San Diego State beat San Jose State 19-13. Oregon beat California 24-17. Oklahoma State remains undefeated. They beat Texas 32-24. Going to a showdown to Oklahoma in Bedlam. That could be the thing that depends on who's has opportunity to make it to the college football playoff. Texas A&M beat Missouri 35-14. Michigan State stays undefeated, beating Indiana 20-15. Cincinnati maintaining their dominance, beat UCF 56-21. Auburn beat Arkansas 38-23. Georgia beat Kentucky 30-13. Pittsburgh smoked Virginia Tech 28-7. Baylor beat BYU 38-24. Texas San Antonio shut out Rice 45-0. Alabama beat the hell out of Mississippi State 49-9. Oklahoma beat TCU 52-31. Mississippi in a ugly ending to that game, Tennessee has been fined $250,000 for having their fans throw stuff on the field at Mississippi and their players. And Lane Kiffin, the head coach, Mississippi beat Tennessee 31-26. And North Carolina State beat Boston College 33-7. Looking ahead, we have Coastal Carolina playing Appalachian State. That's going to happen Wednesday. SMU and Tulane on Thursday. Cincinnati taking on Navy. Should be another victory for Cincinnati. Penn State at home taking on Illinois. Michigan at home taking on Northwestern. Kansas is at home against Oklahoma. This is the game. This is the kind of game where Oklahoma loses. You know this. This is the kind of game Oklahoma loses. They need to stay on the straight. Wake Forest takes on Army. Purdue takes on Wisconsin. Clemson and Pittsburgh happening. LSU at Mississippi. LSU has now relieved Georgia of his duties. That's insane. But I think he's still going to coach. Possibly, did I read that somewhere? He's still going to coach, but he won't be there after the season is over. Oregon is taking on UCLA. Oklahoma State is at Iowa State. Alabama and Tennessee, as always, it's not the third Saturday in October, but it normally is the third Saturday in October. So third Saturday in October. San Diego State is at Air Force. Texas San Antonio is at Louisiana Tech. Ohio State at Indiana. And Ohio State. And look at this. Ohio State lost to Oregon, but Ohio State is ranked 5th and Oregon is ranked 10th. See, this is going to be one of those things we talked about before. This is why I'm worried about Cincinnati. Even though Cincinnati is undefeated. Are they going to look at, are they going to take Ohio State and Oklahoma and Michigan more names ahead of Cincinnati in the playoffs? That's what I'm worried about. North Carolina State is at the Miami of Florida. USC and Notre Dame battle for the Golden Shillelagh. That's going to be a good one. And then South Carolina and Texas A&M. So, I think as I looked at here, maybe the game of the week is the USC Notre Dame game, because that's always, like they literally say, when those two teams get together, you can throw out the records. And so I think that could be, that could be what happened with them. So. All right, so now let's look at the NFL. Last week started with Thursday, Buccaneers had a had a had a surprisingly hard time. They still beat the Eagles 28-22. Over in London, the Jacksonville Jaguars get their first win, beating the Dolphins 23-20. Last second field goal by the kicker. They just signed off with the street. Maybe off the streets of London, England. The Vikings beat the Panthers in overtime, 34-28. The Ravens just destroyed the Chargers, and it was kind of like what, defensively what they did to the Chargers was amazing. You got to give them credit. 34-6, the Ravens beat the Chargers. The Rams, obviously, they blew out the Giants, 38-11. Colts also did the same to the Texans, 31-3. Chiefs first half was not that good. Came out in the second half, came back with a vengeance. They beat the Washington football team 31-13. Of course, the Packers beat the Bears 24-14 with Aaron Rodgers making a statement that he owns the Bears. You can't argue with it. You can't argue with it. The Bengals beat the Lions 34-11. Afterwards, Dan Campbell, last week he was crying after the game. This week he called out his quarterback, Jason Goff, said he needs to play better. And I don't think Jason Goff needs to play better, but I also think that that's a guy that's pretty good. He's been pretty good, over time. So I would say Dan Campbell, don't alienate him from the thing, because he could literally go down the toilet even more. The Cardinals beat the Browns 37-14. Baker Mayfield, Kareem Hunt hurt themselves in that game. They have a game this coming Thursday against the Broncos, and I'm not sure if either one will play. We will find out, obviously, over the next couple of days. The Cowboys beat the Patriots 35-19 in overtime. What a crazy game that was. Trevon Diggs, another interception. That's 7 interceptions. He's at least one in every game of the season, looking to break Dick Night Train Lane's record of 14 interceptions in a single season. The Raiders, after a tumultuous week with everything went on with John Gruden and everything like that, came out and put it on the Broncos, 34-24. Good job. Let's keep it continue with the Raiders. Let's keep doing what you're doing and making noise. Great game Sunday night, even though we didn't think it was going to be without Russell Wilson playing for the Seahawks. Smith was okay, but made a mistake of not holding on to the ball, tucking the ball away. T.J. Watt calls a strip sack in overtime. The Steelers kicked the field goal, 23-20. Steelers on a little bit of a streak there. After what seemed to be after the first couple of weeks, maybe seemed to be like they were going to go downhill, and then it would be the first losing season in the history of Mike Tomlin. But they have turned it around. They are now even at 3-3. And last night, an epic fail from the Buffalo Bills. Titans won 34-31. If you did not see it, going for it from the 3-yard line of Tennessee on 4th and 1. They called a quarterback sneak, but for some reason they had Josh Allen not just take the ball and drive forward. Being 6'5", he would have automatically had the. He took the ball. He jumped to the left, and then was going to make a play. When he jumped to the left, he slipped. That, along with the right defensive end beating his guy off the block, stopped Josh Allen and the Bills on 4th and 1 from the 3. I'm not mad at the call of going for it, as I would. Because to me, if you can't get 1 yard, you shouldn't win the game. So I'm all for them going for it on 4th and 1. But the execution of that call was, I think, absolutely garbage. And they lost 34-31. It was a very, very excellent game. Derrick Henry still just can't be stopped. He's already through 6 games. He got over 750 yards rushing, and he's got 10 touchdowns. So if he has an opportunity chance again to go not only over 2,000 yards, but to break Eric Dickerson's record. And some people might want to put an asterisk on it because he might do it in the 17th game, but still, he would do it, and it could be insane. So as we look to next week, we talked about it. The Broncos and the Browns on Thursday Night Football. Will Browns have Baker Mayfield? I don't think they will have Kareem Hunt. So we'll see. We'll also see Nick Chubb is also healthy because Nick Chubb did not play as well. So it could seriously go down to the Browns. They could lose a third game in a row. The Broncos, even though they're not the team that we maybe thought they might be at the beginning of the season, when they look like a really good, when they look like a really really good team, a contender, this is still a good team, and uh, this could be evil for the Browns. The Chiefs and the Titans, boy. After what we just seen now from the Titans and them and their running game and everything they do on offense, and then the Chiefs and how they've been playing so far on offense and things like that, this could be an upset special for the Titans. The football team at the Packers should win this. Washington defense has not looked great at all. The Ravens and the Bengals, this is going to be a really good game. The Bengals are a good team. The Ravens are a good team. And we'll see what happens with them. Panthers and the Giants. Again, I just don't trust the Giants right now. And the Panthers, they've lost the last two after, again, it was like the Broncos looking real good in the first 2 or 3 weeks of the season. Right now, they're on a little bit of a slump. Let's see if the Giants are the perfect medicine for the Panthers. Falcons and the Dolphins. Dolphins are, in a surprising move, the Dolphins are not on a bye. Normally when you go over to London, you have a bye. They don't have a bye this week. That's kind of insane. They'll be at home against the Falcons. We'll see if the jet lag affects them enough. The Jets and the Patriots, they play once again, battle of the rookie quarterbacks. Jets are coming off their bye. The Patriots are after coming off of that loss to the Cowboys. The Eagles and the Raiders, you know, Eagles have had a couple of days with the extra couple of days from the Thursday night game, and the Raiders are still, first home game without John Gruden, so we'll see what happens there. The Lions and the Rams, we of course know, the whole thing about the trade and the thing with Matthew Stafford and Jared Goff. You done mentioned it. Dan Campbell said Jared Goff needs to play better. We'll see if he does. The Bears and the Buccaneers. Last year, Tom Brady thought he had an extra down. He did not. We'll see what this year, what the Bears do best, running the football. The Buccaneers do best on defense, stopping the run. So we'll see if they open it up for Justin Fields or if they hit their head on the wall. See like that. The Cardinals facing the Texans. This should be an easy win for the Cardinals once again. Cliff Kingsbury, by the way, I should have mentioned this earlier. He had COVID. He did not coach that game against the Browns. So we'll see. He'll need 2 negative tests to come back to the team. So we'll see if he coaches that game. Sunday Night Football, the Colts and the 49ers. Colts, as we just mentioned, they just had a great game against the Texans, and the 49ers coming off of a bye week. See if Jimmy Garoppolo's healthy or not. If he's not, they're gonna go with Trey Lance. Trey Lance was also hurt in his game a couple weeks ago, so we'll see which quarterback plays. And then Monday Night Football, the Saints and the Seahawks. Geno Smith once again, another national stage for Geno Smith, 3 weeks in a row. And then we've got the Saints with I was going to call him Jamarcus Webb. Jameis Winston, that's his name. And we'll see what the Saints do offensively there. So, yeah, big week. Some really interesting games. Chiefs, Titans, Bengals, Raiders, Lions, Rams, Bears, Buccaneers. Some interesting games happening next week in the NFL. So, as always, it's going to be a great weekend of football, I'm predicting. But that is going to be the end of this podcast. I want to thank you guys for listening to this extra long podcast. Obviously, we did the breakdown of the NBA and everything like that. So I appreciate it. Yes. Make sure that you go to patreon.com/AJTRIP to become a patron. Once I hit a certain amount of patrons, you will determine what happens on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/AJTRIP20. you happen to go on this podcast, I guess something on the email from Anchor where there was like a survey when it was asking about this, and I think Anchor might make it easier for creators like myself to only have to use one login, but can use that one login for multiple podcasts. So I might be able. So you know, when I talking about another podcast, and then could determine what could go on that. So that's a good thing. And you are supposed to be able to choose what games I play on my Twitch channel. That being said, and most of you guys know this, maybe some of you don't. For the last several months now, I have not been able to stream on my Twitch channel video games at least because the internet down here just sucks. So and for some reason, like my PlayStation 4 hasn't been able to get enough um, whatever it needs to be able to stream for a long time, for a period of time. It usually takes 10, 15 minutes, and then or less, and then it drops off. So yeah, I don't know when I don't know when the next time the next time I'll be able to stream my video game is it may be years from now. So that's totally unfortunate. So yeah, I really wanted to do a lot of streaming with video games and things like that, but it just sucks. It really does. So yeah, or you can go to anchor.fm/under triplet show, and there you can support me directly through Anchor with three tiers: 99 cents, $4.99, and $9.99. So, but like I always say, I just appreciate the fact that you guys you listen to this podcast, you share it, you rate it, you do all those other things, and that's what I appreciate the most. So as much as I would, you know, I would be grateful for the financial support. Just the other support is just as great that you give me. So I appreciate that a lot. Thank you guys so much for listening. We'll be back next week with more thoughts on the NFL, the college football, Major League Baseball, and maybe some NBA thoughts. Who never knows? And also, from my wrestling fans out there, Crown Jewel is happening on Thursday as well. So make sure you go to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/AJTRIP20. You subscribe, you click the notification bell because tomorrow I have going up my Crown Jewel predictions, and then Thursday after Crown Jewel, I'm going to be doing a rapid reaction. So make sure you're here. It's going to be incredible. Like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, and as always, thank you guys so much for watching. Or listening, I should say. Thank you all so much for listening. This is your boy, AJ Trip, signing off. As always, be good to each other, y'all. Be careful out there. And I am out.